Ladies and fashionistas, Andy here. I went from depressed and suicidal to living a life of abundance and joy. If I can do it, you sure as hell can too. In my coaching programs, one of my good friends, Cam, is a coach alongside me. I've been paying him to be a coach, in the group for quite a while now, I think a year or so. And he's done a fantastic job. His sort of forte is fashion, style, personal appearance and stuff like that, but he also has a lot to teach people about dating, getting laid, sex, relationships, stuff like that. A lot on mental health and productivity, fair bit on fitness and stuff like that. And we've been moving in this direction of having him be more and more of a prominent part of the coaching. And with that, I thought, it's a little weird that he's not on my channel, because a big draw or a big part of the reason that a lot of people sign up for the coaching is to have access to him. You get access to me, obviously, with all the coaching programs, but him alongside me. And we thought it was kind of weird that he's a coach in the program and he's basically never really been on my YouTube channel. I've had him on for a couple of interviews, but we haven't really had him do any content. So, I gave him the challenge and, I said, hey, I'd appreciate if you'd like to do more content on my channel. He sat down, he did this amazing video, and he's going to be doing plenty more just like this. So I hope you guys enjoy this video. Please be kind to him because he was very nervous to do this. Obviously, he has his own YouTube channel, which is Radical Improvements. He gives a lot of great advice over on there. But I think he was a little nervous to sort of do his first bit of actual solo content for my channel. So leave him a comment, tell him if he did a good job or not. And he's talking about one of his favorite topics, humility, which he's the world's most humble person. That's not true, but he's definitely someone that tries his best to be as humble as he possibly can. So I hope you guys enjoy this video.
Hello there. Welcome to the Killer and the Loser channel. My name is Cameron. Some of you might know me as Radical. Andy has invited me to make some content for his channel. I'm a little nervous about this. I don't know how you guys are going to react to someone that isn't Andy. I hope you are a little bit at comfort because I do look a lot like Andy. The only difference being I'm British, not Australian, and I don't shave my mustache off. So there's the main two differences. Andy, when he likes to hire coaches and people, he likes to generally hire people that look exactly like him. So that's me fitting the bill on that front. So I am officially one of Andy's coaches. I work with him in his coaching group, and I've been a moderator on his forum for shortly after it was made. That's over 2 years now. And I've been slowly getting more involved in the stuff that he does with coaching. I've now been in his coaching group working for him for a year now. So I've seen a lot of the process. I myself was actually one of his clients. I was a client for 2 years before he started employing me instead. So I've seen the process from a client perspective. And then I've also been working with him as one of his coaches. So I've seen it from the trying to help guys and coach guys perspective as well. And I think I want to, for the first video, talk about the main thing I see. What is the main thing that I see from a successful client, or when I was on the forums, from a successful guy on the forums who's aiming for his self-improvement goals? That's going to be the entire theme of this first video. And the main aspect that I saw that all of the guys who succeed, what they have is humility. What I really want to demonstrate is where guys are lacking humility. I think it's mostly obvious. Humility is very obvious to see. It's obvious to see when someone is humbling themselves and being a really good student, learning what to do, learning how to approach things from a humble perspective, willing to learn, willing to try new things. But when we look at how people are lacking humility, we really see the manifestation of where that's tripping guys up. Why do I think that's getting in the way of guys succeeding? 3 specific cases where I see guys where they have a lack of humility and it's really getting in the way. It's really going to trip them up, show in their resistance, make them have several attempts at any sort of goal. And we're talking any goal here. We're talking whether or not they're trying to improve their dating. We're talking whether they're trying to improve themselves in the gym, whether they're trying to build a business and make more money. And these are all things that I have at some point done as well, in terms of things that have tripped me up, where I've seen a lack of humility manifest in myself. I do want to mostly, if I can, speak about problems where I've had personally. There are stories I want to tell about guys I've coached and guys I've helped. I don't know if all of them would be okay with me telling their stories, but there are some really good examples as well from the forum, from coaching experiences. But I'll try and keep the stories as related to me as I possibly can. So the three areas that I see are typically reactions to advice, but also the way you treat yourself, like not showing yourself humility. I know that sounds weird, but it'll make sense in a moment. So when I'm receiving advice, when guys have a reaction along the lines of, that doesn't sound like it will work because I know better. This happens a lot more outside of our community. Like on Reddit, this happens a lot. You'll get Redditors who like pretend they're the arbiters of all knowledge on certain subjects. And you don't know what they look like. You don't know what their experience is. Go to anything like r/dating and see the advice given out to people. And you're like, yo, I'd really help if I knew what you look like and I knew how much dating experience you had before I would take, because you almost sound too confident in what you're saying. Like there is a point where guys are very sure of themselves, but I feel like everyone who's an expert, especially myself, like I had a lot of dating experience. I've been on a lot of dates. I don't track my lay count anymore, but I've lost count. So that gives you an idea of like where my lay count is at, even though I don't really value tracking lay count. I haven't for a while. But my dating experience, like the amount and volume of dates I've been on is pretty sizable. I'm probably like 200 odd dates at this point. And I know that that's given me a fair amount of experience. So but even when I talk to people, I don't talk in this I know everything voice. And neither does Andy. Andy, for example, is very keen on saying things along the lines of, this is what worked for me. Try it for yourself and maybe it'll work for you as well. That's the way he likes to phrase it. That's also the way I like to phrase it. I like to phrase my advice with the caveat that I know there may be other ways of doing things and there may be other things that work as well. Coming from a perspective of I know best, my way is the best. It's very based in pride, and sometimes those guys get very upset when they're told otherwise. I'm not saying that I don't have this in myself. Like I'm not saying that I haven't. I give out style and fashion advice, and sometimes, yeah, it's annoying when I see like I have to like type out my advice and I see it not get followed, or I see guys arguing with me and I think they're not coming from a place of like experience, or I think they're not coming from a place of actually understanding fashion. And I have to check my pride in those situations. Fashion's a very wide and varied thing. There's also lots of different looks and images that are able to get girls. And I teach fashion from a perspective of what's going to get you the best dating results. So acknowledging there's tons of different ways to dress that will look attractive, I should acknowledge that there are definitely different ways of doing things. And yeah, because it's the thing that I present myself as an expert, that's the area that I feel like I get tripped up on this most. It's much healthier for myself. It makes me a much better coach to come from a position of there's a lot of knowledge out there and we can take ideas from everywhere and everyone, and we don't have to be the arbiter of all knowledge. This is like very much trying to tackle not having too much pride and having a bit more like openness to new ideas. But also you still want you still have your opinions and you still have the way that you did things. So you still have the stuff that worked for you in the past. And that is how I would present the knowledge and information. The problem with this one, that you think you know better as a newbie, is very obvious. I feel like it's very obvious that if you're a newbie and you think you know better, even though you have no experience, that's kind of a farcical position to take. And it's definitely a point where you should check your ego. Even if you think you're smarter than the person you're listening from, if you have less experience than them, then they are coming from they've practiced the stuff in field, if that makes sense. And like in the gym, are you going to listen to a guy who's like twice your weight, can squat, bench and deadlift like 4 times what you can? Yeah, obviously you're going to listen to them about training for strength and size. Like obviously. And that comes over in dating, that comes into business as well. Guys with more experience, no, they just know more than you about what works in the reality, in the practical sense, no matter like how much theory and whatever that you have accumulated. So yeah, lower, like, especially as a newbie, when you've just found something for the first time, people can get very obsessed about things, read a lot about things. And when they read a lot about things, they think they have like this gained knowledge, but they've been often reading from people who have based that knowledge on experience. So you've gained all of that knowledge, but you have none of the experience to back it up. And you should humble yourself until you've actually been out into the field and gained that experience. That would be my argument on that side of things. The second thing I had listed down is someone who is reacting to advice, but their reaction is not that they know better, but that they think they are unique and that they are a unique case and it won't work for them. Actually, that is that they know better. It's just that they don't. It's not like arguing with like this idea that this won't work because it's like the wrong information. It's arguing that they are unique and that their struggle is special and that they won't have, you know, what it might work for a lot of other people won't work for them. That's essentially the problem. And this is typically a lack of humility for a lot of cases. Now, I've done a big video called You Are Not Special. And I want to caveat this with, I've had guys react badly to this and with a objection that there are special cases. Yes, there are special cases out there. Andy and I don't pretend there are absolutely zero special hard cases. We have had complete special cases show up on the forums. Andy had a guy at one point on the podcast who was medically blind. And obviously Andy and I are not going to tell that guy, you're not special. So yes, technically, the you're not special thing is incorrect. What the title of that video should have been and what I should be saying is that it's unlikely you're special. My rough estimate is of the guys who sign up to the forums, like it would be like 1 in 100 is actually like a full-on hard case. And the reason that's interesting is because our forum actually attracts hard cases. And I think what's going to happen is that we're going to gain more and more genuine hard cases. And they're going to have their stories on the forum. They're going to have their logs on the forum for guys who are actually like them in the future to show up. So what the forum is going to do is collect genuine hard case guys who will find their path to success, which will actually lessen the amount of hard cases we get. This is my like super big hope, yeah? Because the forum attracts probably a higher number of hard cases than show up to other communities. Because we attract guys who are struggling in dating. Guys who are Googling online, how do you get better at dating? Or other, and obviously everyone branches off eventually, but I think the main draw of Andy's website and the forums is for dating advice. So you get a lot of guys show up wanting help with their Tinder, all of that stuff. And we are going to attract more hard cases than we would be attracting otherwise. So I still think saying to guys that they're probably not special is accurate. And it's going to become less impactful. Like their uniqueness is going to become even less so in the future as we, gather more success stories from guys who are hard cases. That's what I hope anyway. That's my positive outlook on this. And I know the guys who I know that have maybe at this point proven their hard cases are starting to crack it anyway. Like, you know what I mean? I know a lot of guys who have been grinding hard at this for ages and are refusing to accept defeat. Guys I love to death. And they're going to fucking succeed and they're going to help any guy down the road who is also struggling with this stuff. So what I want is for guys who think they're unique to humble themselves and recognize, one, it's unlikely, and two, if you are unique, you'll be able to find people on the forums who are just as much of a hard case as you, and you should be able to follow their lead. Like, you should be able to get something out of them. We've built a fucking amazing forum. I love the forum to bits. I spent 2 years of my life essentially trying to build that thing up with Andy. And I'm really happy that it's helped a lot of guys, a lot of great guys find success, and maybe they wouldn't have been able to otherwise. I also love the coaching for that as well. Like, some guys have gone in through there who thought they would never be able to get anything out of their life in the way they did, and the coaching helped them prove otherwise. Like, broke through their limiting beliefs and the barriers of what they thought they could achieve. So I don't want guys to think they're special and unique. And I want them to humble themselves and accept the reality and the probability that they may be able to be saved and helped by the information that we have, by the people who are experienced and can help with this stuff, especially with regards to women, which can make guys feel worthless and uniquely terrible. So yes, humble yourself if you think you're unique by entertaining the idea that you may not be, and see if you will just try the things we suggest and see if they will give you success. It's decaf. This is like 10 p.m. So the final one is not being patient with yourself and arguing against reality. Andy's talked about this a lot. I think it's a really good thing to talk about. And I loved, however, the last year or so, Andy's channel has gone way more towards mindset, way more towards talking about the mental aspects of, trying to improve your dating, the mental aspects of trying to build a business, Jesus, the mental aspects of going to the gym and showing up every single day. There's so much in self-improvement that's purely down to your mindset. It's like competition with yourself, sticking out, seeing all of these daily habits through for like years, until you actually start seeing results. And not being patient with yourself is one of the fastest ways to fall off the self-improvement train. It's ego, if you think about it. Like, not being patient with yourself and expecting yourself, it's like expecting yourself to be unique, but in the positive sense. Expecting yourself to go faster than other guys have before. Maybe in the gym is a good example, guys chasing stuff. Like, I remember being very, very frustrated with myself trying to gain strength. And I was trying to gain strength on a very specific program, and it was the starting strength. I actually did starting strength during COVID lockdown, like 2 years ago, when I was trying to I had access to a gym, so it wasn't full lockdown. The gyms were still open, but I was trying to, I'd never done starting strength before. I'd never done a 5x5 program to the end. And I thought, oh, this weight progression, this strength progression, it was kind of slow. And I was getting frustrated at myself for not hitting lifts faster than the program said, which is kind of strange. Like, why would I think I'm better than the program by the guy who programmed starting strength, like the original, was it Mark Ripito? I don't know if he was starting strength. He's strong lifts, isn't he? But yeah, one of the guys who programmed it is like a legend within fitness and training and fitness and training and strength training. And I'm there looking at these numbers and thinking, I can beat these. I can lift these weights at a faster rate than the guys who programmed one of the most famous programs of all time. And that's just unbelievable arrogance, and also not having patience with yourself when you're trying to do something like a strength program is going to lead to injury. It's going to lead to you being frustrated and not want to go train. It's going to lead to just general depression, having higher expectations than even a coach who wrote the program is going to have for me. And I said, it's going to lead to injury if I push myself too hard beyond a level that's been programmed. So I think this is really, really, really important that we don't tell ourselves we want to be competitive. Yeah. We want to push ourselves to our limits. We want to see what we can actually achieve in this lifetime, because we only get one as far as we know. But you don't want to fall off the train. You don't want to hurt yourself mentally and emotionally to a point where you quit. And if you don't show yourself love and patience on this journey, all it's going to mean is you get off. You quit. And I feel like those of us that haven't quit, other than being addicted to self-improvement, myself and these several guys in the coaching group are all addicted to this. But other than that, stopping yourself and showing yourself some love and patience is the only way you're going to keep going. Because otherwise you're going to have multiple breakdowns. You're going to have a lot of self-doubt, and you're going to have you're going to feel like a failure as well when you're achieving things. That's the worst part about not being patient and not celebrating your wins, and not having realistic time frames and goals. You're going to achieve great things, and you're not going to be able to see it because you had an arbitrary time scale. You had an arbitrary set of goals that you didn't achieve. But because you lack patience with yourself, you didn't even realize they were completely unreasonable. And that's what's causing the negative emotions. That's what's causing you to feel stressed, when you shouldn't. And it's really bad, especially when you're building a business. I'm going to move away from training because I'm in building business mode at the moment. I want to talk about that. And you're going to hit milestones, revenue milestones, and you're always going to be looking into the distance or thinking in your mind that it's not coming fast enough. And you need to not do that, because that's going to drive you absolutely insane. I think the stress takes years off people's lives. I think a lot of the failures are due to this. So detach yourself from this idea of that you need to race to every single goal. That you also, the other point of this is arguing with reality as well. You're hurting yourself because you haven't achieved this fictitious future that you had in your mind. You're saying this is what should have been, but there only is what is. That's what arguing with reality is about. That's what we're talking about when we say that. You're thinking something that never existed should have happened, and you're refusing to accept what actually happened as the correct reality, when that is actually what happened. Yeah. And the other thing is back to having some humility about that you don't really know anything if you've not done something before. Back when I was talking about the guys who have no experience, in knowing what will work because they've never done it before in practicality. Likewise, being patient with yourself when it comes to a goal you've never achieved before. You have no idea what the realistic time frame is or the realistic amount of effort you need to put in is. My goals are very fresh. Like, I did everything I wanted to do in dating, like kind of like knocked everything off one by one. And now I'm doing everything I want to do in business, kind of like knocking off milestones one by one, always going for a new milestone. So if you're going for fresh goals that you've never done before, you really do need to be patient with yourself. You really do need to realize that you don't actually have necessarily the best grasp on how well you should be performing or what you should be doing or how far ahead you should be. Patience with yourself. Drop the ego with this, just so you stay sane and you stay on the path to what you want to achieve. See, I want to summarize because I feel like I went on a rant with all of those. So it's the humility to know that you may not know everything. It's the humility to know that you may not be a unique case, even though you may have told yourself that you are with your own stories. And it's the humility to be patient with yourself when you're chasing a hard goal that you've never chased before. Those are the big three in terms of the humility. And these are what I see in all the guys I see succeed on the forums, in the coaching group. It's all about having this level of humility where you drop out of the pride, like you get rid of the pride in your ego and you kind of just go at it with a sense of like open-mindedness and optimism and patience. And those are really the three things that counter the things I've been talking about. Right, this is my first video for Andy's channel. I hope you guys enjoyed it. See you next time. Peace.